Do you think that this is a rock or a potato? Honestly, this blurry brown thing could be either, but according to the message I got, it's a rare mineral that someone found in their backyard. As a geologist, my inbox is filled with these mystery rock photos, which I secretly love. But some are impossible to identify even with years of training and experience. But could new technology help solve that problem? Today, we are putting AI to the ultimate rock identification test, and the results might surprise you. Welcome to Rock Talk. I am Jess, a geologist, and hoping that AI will not come for my job in the future. Today, we are taking an age-old question. What type of rock is this? And applying a modern solution, AI technology. So can AI identify rocks as well as a geologist? This isn't just a fun experiment. It actually has real implications for the future of geology and my job. Technology is advancing rapidly with specialized rock ID apps, image recognition, and even GPT models that can see photos. And the mining industry is already embracing advanced AI methods like cobalt metals, which recently made headlines for discovering what might be the largest copper deposit in a decade using AI technology. Then there's platforms like Geologic AI, which uses artificial intelligence to scan and log drill cores, combining data from multiple sensors to give geologists comprehensive data sets for interpretation. If I'm being honest, I will let AI log core. I am not a big fan of core logging. They can have that job. But how good are they really? Can they replace the expertise of a trained geologist? Or at least help beginners identify their backyard discoveries? Today, we are testing 3 types of AI and technology. Up first, rock ID and mineral identification apps. Up next, ChatGPT with image recognition. And finally, we're putting it to the test in the field to see if these technologies can actually interpret actual geologic formations. I have created a scoring system to rate each technology on accuracy, specificity, educational value, and appropriate confidence level. So let's see how they stack up against progressively more challenging specimens, starting with some of my Geology 101 favorites right from my rock collection. The real challenge is going to be if I can remember what all of these are. Full disclosure here. My degree is actually in engineering, not geology, though I spent 5 years working as a mine geologist, and I got a C in mineralogy, like identifying minerals and rocks. So honestly, AI might be better than me at this, but we'll see. Okay, up first is a dedicated rock ID app. I have an Android, so I'm downloading Rock Identifier Stone ID. It has 4.5 stars and 5 million plus downloads. So I actually kind of have high hopes for this. World's most popular rock identification app. It is $4 a week, or $7.99 a month, or $40 a year. So if you're really wanting to get into rock ID and this works, I don't know if it's going to be worth the investment or not, but we'll find out. I'll let you know. I'm going to try it free. We're going to do the 7-day free trial. If I forget to cancel this, we got to help make this pop off to make my $40 investment worth it here. So make sure you like the video. Identify rocks like an expert. You see it right there that it's advertised. Study rocks with info. Create your own rock collection. I have a rock collection. Do you? Mine's just sitting on a bookshelf, but now I can build my own electronic collection. By the way, this is not sponsored in any way, so if this works, it's because it really works. I didn't have high hopes, but they really hyped it up. Okay, so it has some snap tips. So already it's asking us what to do here. So I don't want any grief over how messy my desk is, okay? Be chill. Okay, so up first, I think let's start easy. I think the easiest one I have is this one. Okay. This is just a piece of quartz, so let's give it a shot. Okay, so it says, focus on the prettiest side of the stone, filling half of the frame. Okay. Okay, so it says smoky quartz. I'd say, I wouldn't say this is smoky, but I think my shadows probably make it that way. Tells me all about it. It's a healing stone. Okay. Some basic info. Add to my collection. And you can add all sorts of stuff to it. Okay, so it has more examples, all sorts of stuff. Okay. Good first identification. I think this is going to be another easy one. Everybody loves some good shiny rocks. Yeah, look at that in the light. Pyrite. I'm trying to get it in the light here. Focus on the prettiest side. I'm going to say that's where we're going to get that in the light. Okay. I don't know if that was the best picture. Pyrite. Okay. Iron pyrite, fool's gold. Value. How much is this valued? Okay, I can get $4 to $25 for this. If you want to buy it, it's in the, put your bids in the comments. Just kidding. I think I paid $1 for it, so don't do that. Oh, here we go. Here's a cool one. How to select. So when purchasing pyrite, consider these unique factors impacting its value. So if you are at like a gem and mineral store, and you're like not sure if you're getting scammed, honestly, that's pretty cool. All right. So I'm going to go with this one. This is selenite. It's also like a form of gypsum, so I'm not sure what it's going to come up and say it is, but we'll find out. Got this one from Glitter Mountain. If you have not seen the Glitter Mountain video, but you want to get into rockhounding, definitely recommend checking that out, and we'll see if this rock ID app can identify it for you. Okay, so this is the first one that's wrong. I can see why, though. So it's showing up as halite. Now, halite, you might know as rock salt. You can lick it. It'll taste like salt. This one clearly does not. This one did get it wrong. I think this will be a fun one. This is one that I just found in the Paula mining video where we were digging for tourmaline. This pretty purple rock is called lepidolite. Whoa, it shows up. Okay, I'm a little more convinced. Okay. All right, not all rocks are like quality though. So this is rhodochrosite from the Orphan Girl mine from when I was a mine tour guide at the World Museum of Mining. Rhodochrosite! I was not expecting this. Okay. This one is for all the parents out there, or aunts and uncles, who have their kid come up to them and be like, "What is this rock?" And you're like, "Honey, that's a leverite. A lever right there." Nice. That is what it is. Let's get down to the scores. So I tested 15 total specimens. Admittedly, most of them are pretty easy, and if you were to hand it to a geologist, they would immediately be able to tell you what it is. But we did have a couple of unusual ones. So the app got 8 out of 15 completely correct, and one that was technically correct, but not quite as specific as I was looking for. The app got 4 completely incorrect. I can see where it was coming from on all of these, as they do look similar, and without being able to test things like the hardness, see the different aspects of all of it itself, I can see why they got it wrong, but at the end of the day, it was still wrong. And 2 of them were unknown that I haven't fully identified yet, so I can't say if they were right or wrong, but the answers were in line with what I'm thinking, so we're not counting those against the 15 at all. So this gives us a 3 out of 5 for accuracy. Honestly, not bad when some of these would be pretty challenging for some like entry-level geology students. For specificity, the results were kind of mixed. When the app was correct, it did generally give the exact mineral name, but in one case, it did identify the mineral family without pinpointing the exact variety. This is a tougher variety, so I'll give it some leeway on that. What I really liked is it didn't just say rock. So I'm giving it a 4 out of 5 for specificity. The app wasn't afraid to commit to its identifications. Now, educational value is where this app really shines. For each identification, it gave key facts like chemical formula, hardness, magnetism, a very nice description, what it's used for, common questions, how to identify it, physical properties, chemical properties, formation, age, usage, and even price. So again, you want to make sure you're not getting scammed, where it's found, etc. So this all is genuinely useful information that goes beyond simple identification. And honestly, it's information that you're probably not going to get from a geologist. So this earns a solid 5 out of 5 for educational value. I really thought that was cool, and it was so unexpected. Finally, let's talk about confidence level. And I can tell you most AI is more confident than I am. So based on my testing, the app was sometimes overconfident in its incorrect identifications. It presented them without very much indication of uncertainty. All it says is like a little best match in the corner. Now, this is my first time using the app, so it could be in there somewhere. I just didn't see it. For the specimens it did get correct. The confidence seemed appropriate, but there wasn't much nuance in how it expressed uncertainty in trickier specimens. I'm going to give this a 2 out of 5 for its confidence. So adding all of these up, our Rock ID app scores a total of 14 out of 20 points. Honestly, that's pretty impressive and way better than I actually thought it was going to do. So I'm fully going to admit that I was so surprised by this. It's pretty strong as an educational tool, even when the identification isn't perfect. For beginners that are looking to learn more about common minerals, this could be genuinely helpful. Just look at those identifications with a grain of halite when it seems too confident about unusual specimens. Oh, that's not halite. Okay, so what I've done is uploaded my rock images to Google Photos, and I'm just going to download them from there. So what I've done is come up with a prompt that should help me rank the ChatGPT identification of these minerals against the Rock ID app. But ChatGPT has one powerful difference. It has the ability to ask further questions for clarification to improve its rock identification skills. Things like location, does it taste, how hard is it? If ChatGPT knows to ask those questions, it could really help improve its confidence in its mineral identification. So we'll see. So the prompt is, examine the rock or mineral image and identify what you can see with as much specificity, provide its chemical composition and process, rate your confidence in this identification, list any possible alternatives, and feel free to ask any questions. What I really enjoyed about the Rock ID app was its educational value, so I'm trying to get ChatGPT to give me that same information through it. So we'll see if it does it. So we're going to start off easy again. That looks so weird. Lies identification, quartz crystal. Gives us some information about it. It's pretty confident about it. I like that it gives us a confidence rating. Alternative possibilities and why it thinks it's not those. And questions that could help confirm, but it's not asking the questions. It's pretty confident, so it's not asking you to do this. So it's telling you what it should do if it's quartz. Cool. Let's go to the next one. No way. Okay, so this one did give us the Herkimer diamond, and it's pretty confident in it. Pegmatite with black tourmaline. 9 out of 10. You are correct, ChatGPT. I'm honestly shocked. Ooh! I'm relatively confident in it. It is correct. Is the one that Rock ID thought was halite. So I'm very curious as to what ChatGPT is going to say. They said the Rock ID app said it was halite or calcite. No way. Okay, so now let's evaluate ChatGPT's performance with the exact same specimens. I have to say, I was genuinely surprised by this result. For accuracy, ChatGPT correctly identified 10 out of the 15 specimens. But interestingly, it did correctly identify 2 of the specimens that the app got incorrect, although it did miss one that the app got right. That gives ChatGPT a 4 out of 5 for accuracy, actually outperforming the dedicated Rock ID app. For specificity, the results were pretty impressive. Not only did ChatGPT identify the correct mineral name in most cases, but for these 2 specimens, it actually gave more detailed information than the app did. For example, instead of just saying quartz, it specified the Herkimer diamond. I was pretty stoked on that. I'm going to give it a 4.5 for specificity. It was really willing to commit to detailed identifications and got subtypes right in most cases. For educational value, ChatGPT provided a wealth of information. It provided things like chemical formula, detailed formation processes, identifying characteristics, and even suggested some simple tests I could do to confirm the identification. It also offered alternative possibilities with explanations of why they might look similar, but how to distinguish between them. I'm going to give it a 4.75 for educational value. It honestly is a 5 out of 5. I just preferred the app's format a little better. Now for the confidence level assessment. I think this is where ChatGPT had a distinct advantage over the app. It explicitly rated its confidence on a scale from 1 to 10. And crucially, it asked follow-up questions if it wasn't certain. For the specimens it was less sure about, it suggested specific tests I could perform, asked about the locality of where the specimen was found, and even inquired about physical properties that could help with identification. I think this ability to ask clarifying questions is something the app can't currently do to my knowledge yet, and it's where ChatGPT really shines. This gives ChatGPT a 4.5 out of 5 for appropriate confidence. It knew what it didn't know and sought more information if needed. So adding these up, ChatGPT gets 17.75 points out of 20. I honestly did not expect this level of performance from a general AI model competing against a specialized rock identification app. That ability to ask further questions is a game changer, mimicking how a human geologist like me would approach identifications. In fact, a lot of the questions it asks are the same questions I ask when I get sent a rock picture. I overall am pretty impressed with how both the Rock ID app and ChatGPT performed. But we're not done yet. If you think that you've got a rock specimen that would stump AI, take a clear, well-lit photo and send it to me on Instagram. I might feature the most interesting submissions in a follow-up video where we put AI to the test with your specimens. All of that being said, is AI coming for my job as a geologist? There's one more test that I want to run just to see. We've confirmed AI's ability to identify individual rock and mineral specimens. But as a geologist, I'm rarely looking at just one hand sample. I read the stories written in stone across entire landscapes. When I'm in the field, I'm looking at formations and layers and erosional patterns and structural features to piece together the geological history of an area. It's kind of like detective work that spans millions or even billions of years. So can AI help with this more complex task? For this next test, I'm going to show ChatGPT a series of landscapes. Some famous geological wonders like the Grand Canyon that it might recognize, and some photographs that I myself have taken in my own fieldwork. I want to see if it can clearly identify the key features, explain how these landscapes formed, and tell the geological story written in the rocks. I obviously can't test this against the same scoring system as the Rock ID, so I have come up with a new scoring system for this test. We're going to have 5 categories: feature identification, process understanding, contextual knowledge, scientific accuracy, and insight value. We are going to start with something simple, the Grand Canyon, and this is just a general Wikipedia image, so it might be able to search the internet and find it. So it says key geological features, almost certainly the Grand Canyon, geological age range, notable rock types, what this landscape reveals, and additional questions. Okay, that's good. It's accurate. I feel like that's pretty easy. Chimanimani Mountains? Chimanimani? So it is not those mountains. Okay, so it is a little off. But I think that's where this helpful clarification comes in, right? So can you confirm the location of its range? So we can say this range is located in South Africa. So we're starting to see it definitely like narrow in and be a little bit more accurate with just that simple location data. And you know exactly what mountains you're taking pictures of. You can tell it, and it'll tell you the story. So I do like that. Those are photos from the internet, which I think is kind of cheating. Let me go to some of my own photos and see what we've got here. Let's start with one of the most famous outcrops in the world, but a selfie. I wonder if it's going to still do it with a selfie. Very curious. Tilted and folded rock layers, distinct layering, likely records a tectonically active deposition of sedimentary layers. I like that it says if it's located in regions like Scotland, which it is. Honestly, pretty accurate. Ancient depositional environments, major tectonic events, long-term erosion and uplift. All of that is accurate without it knowing exactly where this is. Oh, it does say if you're standing at a point like Siccar Point. Could be an incredibly important location in geological history. It is Siccar Point, ChatGPT. Good job. Good job. You're standing at Siccar Point. Look, it's very excited. It's as excited as I am at standing at Siccar Point here. If you've not seen the Siccar Point video, you should check it out. I spent a lot of time just filming standing on rocks. All right, so let's calculate the scores for ChatGPT's landscape interpretation abilities. So I tested it with those 7 different geological landscapes, 4 famous sites that I took photos from the internet, and 3 of my own explorations. These range from relatively straightforward and honestly iconic to pretty complex. All right, so first, the feature identification. ChatGPT consistently recognized structural and erosional features across different landscapes. At Siccar Point, it did correctly identify the tilted beds and angular relationships without being told the exact location. For the South African mountains, it recognized the mature erosion patterns characteristic of ancient cratons. I'm going to go ahead and give it a 4 out of 5 for feature identification. For contextual knowledge, I was pretty impressed. Especially if you gave it the location information in the prompt, ChatGPT was able to provide pretty rich geological context. Even more surprising, in some cases like Siccar Point, it actually suggested the correct location based solely on the features in my photo. I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5 for contextual knowledge. For scientific accuracy, the geologic principles and age estimates were pretty on target. It correctly dated the Barberton Greenstone Belt to 3.5 to 3.2 billion years old and understood the significance of angular conformities in determining relative ages. You really kind of have to use iconic formations or give it some good location data for that. So I'm going to give it a 3.5 for scientific accuracy. Finally, insight value. ChatGPT provided some pretty good explanations, though sometimes they lacked kind of the nuanced insights a specialist may offer or the storytelling that we like to do as geologists. It explained broader concepts pretty well, but occasionally missed subtleties that would be evident to an experienced field geologist. I'm going to give it a 3.5 for insight value. So adding these up, ChatGPT scores a 19.5 out of 25 points, or a 78% for landscape interpretation. C's get degrees. While it's not perfect, I was still pretty impressed for a general AI model with no specialized training in geological fieldwork. So, is AI coming for all of the geology jobs? After all of the tests today, I think the answer is not anytime soon, but it's definitely a valuable tool in the geological toolkit. Overall, I honestly was way more impressed with these tests than I thought I was going to be. I thought it was going to be an epic fail. But the Rock ID app proved to be a handy pocket reference with strong educational content. It's great to have if you're on the go or looking to maybe identify some of the rocks in your collection. ChatGPT honestly surprised me with its rock identification abilities and kind of impressed me with its landscape interpretations. But in both cases, these are tools that complement geological expertise rather than fully replace it, as it stands right now anyways. But what I really liked about these AI tools is their accessibility. If you're a beginner rockhound trying to identify a cool specimen that you found, or a hiker curious about the landscape around you, these technologies can provide a really great starting point. I particularly like how ChatGPT can ask clarifying questions and customize responses. I mean, who wouldn't want the geology explained like a pirate story? Or in a song. "Arr, this here limestone be formin' in the warm, shallow seas of the Cretaceous, me hearty." That was really bad. But there's so much more to geology than just identification and basic interpretation. The fieldwork, the lab analysis, the years of specialized training to understand Earth's systems, that human expertise isn't going away anytime soon. AI can't feel the weight of a rock in your hand, notice the subtle color variations under changing light, or make those intuitive leaps that come from years of experience. Even with advancing technology, nothing beats hands-on learning with experts. I'll link some resources in the description for finding your local geological society or rockhounding club where you can meet fellow enthusiasts and learn from experienced geologists. These communities are invaluable for developing your rock identification skills and understanding the geological story of your area. I would love to know what you thought of today's experiments. Did they surprise you? Have you tried using AI to identify rocks or understand landscapes yourself? Drop a comment below and let me know what geological questions you'd like me to tackle in future videos. If you enjoyed this journey through the intersection of geology and artificial intelligence, please hit that subscribe button and notification bell to stay updated with more stories written in stone. Until next time, keep exploring the rocks all around you.